In 1947, a banker named Andy Dufresne is convicted of the murder of his wife and her lover and sentenced to 2 life sentences at Shawshank State Penitentiary. There, he befriends a fellow inmate named Otis Redding, a.k.a. Red, and together they form a friendship that lasts forever. In this horrible place, they find some semblance of hope in a movie that has resonated with fans everywhere and remains one of the most celebrated films of all time, 1994's The Shawshank Redemption. Based on a short story by Stephen King, the same man who gave us It, Carrie, Salem's Lot, and so many other scary stories, created the perfect story of hope. Kind of amazing. And today we're here to talk about that as our connector bonus to The Mist. I'm Connor Eyzaguirre.
And I'm Austin Johnson.
Welcome to Filmgazm. I think it's no overstatement that The Shawshank Redemption is a film we have both wanted to do on this podcast for a long time. And I'm so excited to talk about this.
Yeah, it's one you circle before I even knew I was ever going to be on a podcast. I dreamt of talking about this movie. Anytime it comes up in conversation, I immediately, all of the blood in my body just, I want to fucking get my podium out, my PowerPoint, and talk to everyone about it. It's one of those. I think it's for so many fans. It's one of the first movies you see, like when you're a teenager, and it immediately becomes massive for you because it's always one of the first great movies everybody sees.
It's one of the few over 2-hour films that I could put on at any time.
Yep.
Does not feel like 2 hours.
No, and if it's like on TNT, you can jump into any scene. And continue with the rest of the story. If you got 30 minutes left, you're in. If you got an hour left, you're in. If you got the whole movie, you're in. You know.
The credits start rolling. I'm gonna hang around for a bit.
Yeah.
The tagline for this movie was "Fear can hold you prisoner, hope can set you free."
Whew. Still have the poster up in my,
Yeah.
I've had that movie poster for the longest time.
Oh, that's amazing.
All right. Unbelievable.
The Shawshank Redemption, as I said, was based on the novella Rita Hayworth and Shawshank Redemption by Stephen King, first published in the collection Different Seasons alongside Apt Pupil, The Body, which became the film Stand By Me, and The Breathing Method, one of his weirdest stories, but a very solid collection. And it's got an IMDb score of 9.3, the highest rated film on IMDb, which is pretty amazing. A 90% Rotten Tomatoes score, a 98% audience score, which is pretty remarkable. It only grossed $58 million on a budget of $25 million, was not a significant hit, but it has since been looked back on as an absolute masterpiece.
Yeah, and then it was, made some buzz at the Oscars and whatnot, so that caused people to go back and watch it.
Was nominated for 7 Oscars.
Oof.
Best Picture, Best Actor for Morgan Freeman, Best Adapted Screenplay for Frank Darabont, Best Cinematography, Best Sound Editing, Best Film Editing, and Best Original Score for Thomas Newman. And I think this film is his masterpiece. The best score Thomas Newman ever did in his career. Oh my God. The music of this movie.
Where do you begin? Yeah.
Oh my God. I don't know, man. It's from the main theme to just the little notes throughout.
Yeah.
It's so perfect. It breaks my heart. But it also, makes me want to, makes me want to go to Mexico. It's so great. Quick fun fact. The role of Andy Dufresne was offered to Tom Hanks, who turned it down to do Forrest Gump. Now, it did end up being a good career move for him, but I wonder if he regrets not doing The Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah. Right? Hindsight.
For a film that you could have been in. But he did win an Oscar for Forrest Gump, so I don't know.
Yeah. It's tough.
But then again, I don't see anybody but Tim Robbins playing Andy Dufresne.
Right?
He's so good.
Oh my gosh.
He's the perfect blend of callous banker and just terrified small man.
Well, Tim Robbins is famously one of the really tall guys of Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
He's 6'4", 6'5".
Yeah.
And that's like something that is commented on right away. Morgan Freeman's character, Red, immediately says, you know, like, it looks like, you know,
Tall drink of water.
it's so good. They're taking bets for cigarettes and talking about him and how he, like, you know, a little bit of wind would fucking push him over, you know? That's what you feel with Tim Robbins. Like you said, he captures that balance of that kind of quiet banker, you know?
The funny thing about it, though, is I don't really notice his height in the movie because the prison makes him look small.
So small, yeah.
It's amazing.
I love that.
It's something about, like, you know, Clancy Brown's character, Hadley, he seems taller because he's in charge, because he projects this power over these guys. There's so many little things in this movie. Frank Darabont, with all his issues, is a hell of a director and a hell of a screenwriter, and his work speaks for itself.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's pretty incredible.
Nothing else to say, yeah.
So, the cast, Tim Robbins, of course, plays Andy Dufresne. He won an Oscar for his 2003 performance in Mystic River. Well-deserved. Yeah, he's fantastic. He's been around for a while. He recently appeared as Pop Merrill in season 2 of Castle Rock.
Yeah, he's just in Dark Waters with Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah.
The man's been working, you know, we obviously talked about him with the Hudsucker Proxy with the Coens. The dude has worked with, like, all the guys we love.
He's done everything. He's done comedy, drama.
Yeah.
He's directed. He was nominated for Best Director for Dead Man Walking, 1995.
I really like that show that he was on HBO with, Brink. That's a cool show on HBO.
I remember that. I didn't check that out.
Yeah, you would like it. Yeah, he's great. Everything he touches, to me, at least I like him in everything he touches. Maybe not everything he touches is gold.
I loved his cameo as the public news anchor in Anchorman.
Yes. Yeah, of course.
Public news team's taking a break from its pledge drive to kick some ass.
Perfect.
No commercials, no mercy. Oh, God. Tim Robbins, one of my favorites.
He's great.
And, of course, Ellis Boyd Redding is played by Morgan Freeman.
Famously, you know, in the book, it's a white guy.
Yeah, an Irish guy.
With red hair, and he says, I don't know, maybe because I'm Irish. It's a great shout out. Yeah.
Morgan Freeman is another highly respected character actor. He's been around for pretty much ever.
Yeah, come on. If you don't know who he is, then you know.
Yeah. He won his only Oscar so far for his performance in 2004's $1 Million Baby. Was also nominated for 1987's Street Smart, 1989's Driving Miss Daisy, 94's The Shawshank Redemption, and 2009's Invictus.
Yes.
And I personally love him as Lucius Fox in the Dark Knight trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
The guy is just fantastic. I like him as God.
In Bruce Almighty? Yeah.
Yep.
I was about to say that. He plays God.
He plays God, and I believe it.
Yeah.
Not a lot of people can play a convincing God. Morgan Freeman is one of those.
Yes, I agree. Morgan Freeman, fascinating guy.
I love him in Unforgiven.
Yeah.
I love him in Glory.
Seven.
He's one of the best parts of Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Yes. Yeah, he's great.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
Shawshank, probably his best performance.
Ooh, maybe, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah.
I'll
give it to you.
To me, it's undoubtedly him and Tim Robbins, like apex.
They are perfect. They are perfect.
They're both great. This is the movie everybody remembers them for.
Their friendship makes sense. It never feels forced. This feels like, two relatively decent people who found each other in hell, basically.
Yeah. One guy who actually did it, and one guy who didn't.
Yeah. But the guy who did it hates himself for it.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's redemption. The movie. Redemption.
Exactly.
It's perfect. I love redemption arcs. They're like my favorite. Bob Gunton plays Warden Samuel Norton, one of the biggest pieces of shit Stephen King ever made. Just this son of a bitch who holds everybody's life and death in the palm of his hand. He is God in the walls of Shawshank. And Andy fucks him up so good.
Oh, yeah. We'll get there. Yeah.
Bob Gunton also appeared in Daredevil, the first season, as Leland Owsley, for you Marvel fans. And he's been around for a while, too. He's popped up in a lot of stuff. He was in Argo. He was in The Lincoln Lawyer. He had a recurring role on 24. Yeah. Awesome dude. Bob Gunton's a great actor. William Sadler plays Haywood. We talked a lot about William Sadler in the Mist episode. He is another well-known character actor, played the president in the Marvel movies, and has worked with Darabont a lot. He was great in The Mist.
And it's Fatso!
I like Haywood.
I love Haywood.
He's such a dick, but
love Haywood.
he's like a good dick.
That's the guy I'd be hanging out if I was in prison.
He's the dickhead friend. I wonder what he did.
Me too. I wanna know so much about yeah.
Well, we know what he did. He didn't do anything. Lawyer fucked him.
Yeah. Laura fucked me. Listen to Hank Williams all the time. Yeah, that's my guy. That's my guy.
Clancy Brown plays Captain Hadley.
Mr. Krabs?
What a son of a bitch. Captain Hadley is a monster.
Arr.
And I love that he ends up in fucking Shawshank.
Yeah. Hot shot banker.
That's right. He's Mr. Krabs.
What if I told you could have the whole 30,000? What'd you say?
You're going to look real good sucking my dick with no teeth. It's always such a weird line. Like, okay.
Oh, he is ruthless. Yeah. My God.
He's got such an odd combination of like real insults and like playground insults.
Yeah.
Like he calls someone butt steak, and then he calls someone else like, fucking asshole. Like, make up your mind.
You shit when we say you shit. Mr. Krabs. Clancy Brown, great.
It's Clancy Brown.
He's great in The Hurricane, man. Different kind of cop. Different kind of guard.
Really?
You ever seen The Hurricane?
I've never seen The Hurricane.
Fuck. Yeah, he's the guard in that, and he's like cool. It's crazy. That's a good movie. You'd like that.
I'm sure I would. It's been on my list for a while.
Denzel's really solid.
I love him in Starship Troopers.
Oh yeah, of course.
Drill Sergeant Zim.
Yeah.
Do you get me? Fuck yeah. Dude. Clancy Brown is one of my favorite character actors, easily in my top 5. He pops up all the time in all sorts of shit.
Yeah.
And I've heard he's like the nicest dude in the world.
Yes.
He's known for playing like really mean, angry
Mr. Krabs.
people.
I mean, yeah.
But in reality, I've heard he's like on the set, he's like everyone's grandpa.
Yeah.
Like, he's the coolest guy. I would
Clancy.
love to meet him.
Clancy.
Oh, yeah. I adore Clancy Brown. And his role as Captain Hadley is one of his most fantastic performances.
And it's one of the performances in the movie that, as you rewatch it and as you're like, if you're like a huge fan of it, he's one of the characters that keeps you on your toes.
Yeah.
Because he is so sharp and so abrupt.
It's funny because even if I've seen this movie a dozen times and he's still unpredictable.
Yeah. That's kind of what I'm getting around to. It's
amazing.
Yeah.
Love Clancy Brown. That's pretty much the majority of the cast, but we cannot forget James Whitmore as Brooks Hatlin. And the saddest character in the movie. Brooks. James Whitmore was a big actor in the 40s and 50s, all the way to the 90s. Really, like the dude was working constantly, and he died in 2009 at age 87 of lung cancer. He was nominated for 2 Oscars: supporting actor for his role in 1949's Battleground, and best actor for his role in 1975's Give 'Em Hell, Harry. And he is great as Brooks. He's unforgettable. He's got the saddest scene in the movie. Brooks was here.
I don't know what to say. Yeah, I don't know what to say. We'll get there.
Yeah.
I think I need to talk more about the movie before
we'll get there.
Before I get to Brooks. Yeah.
I remember seeing Them. He was great. He was great in Them. It was a weird movie, but he was good in that.
Book. Book. Brooks.
I love the.
Gives us to Dufresne.
I love the bird he has, Jake.
Oh man.
Oh man. Feed the pigeons at the park, and I hope Jake will come by and say hi one day. But
they're there, Jake.
There's a lot of other people in the movie. A lot of little appearances: Mark Rolston, Gil Bellows, Jeffrey DeMunn. But we're going to focus just on the main players here and get into the movie. The Shawshank Redemption. All right, let's do this. We begin in 1947, Portland, Maine. Banker Andy Dufresne learns his wife is cheating on him, goes to the cabin where his wife is currently sleeping with his golf pro, shows up drunk as a skunk with a loaded .38. and looks
like a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah. He's there to kill. But he doesn't go through with it. He says he chucks his pistol in the lake, goes home to sleep off the drunk. However, his wife and her lover are murdered anyway. And he is immediately sent up the river for it. And his defense is fucking awful. He has no defense. And actually, if it's your first time, you kind of think he did it for most of the movie. Like, it looks bad.
Yeah, especially the way they kind of manipulate you in the movie. The first scene where he's so cold and really you find out he's just confused.
Yeah.
Because he's like, I obviously didn't do anything, and I find that oddly convenient. And he's like, well,
Kind of inconvenient considering you can't test the gun.
yeah, yeah.
And he says,
man.
like the reason, he wouldn't exactly be heartbroken. He found out his wife was fucking around. He went there to do something about it. He didn't do it. So there's a certain amount of, lack of love here.
Yeah.
So I get him being a little cold towards this. And the prosecuting attorney really plays up the emotional sides of this to the jury. Says, there were 4 shots per victim. Revolver only has 6 shots. The guy reloaded and shot each one of them again.
Yeah.
It sounds like a crime of passion.
Yeah.
And he's convicted, sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences at Shawshank State Penitentiary. And at Shawshank, we meet Red and Haywood, and they're all taking bets on the new fish.
Yeah.
Who's going to break first? It's so fucked up, but I bet this really does happen.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Who's going to break? And Red bets on Andy to break. And Andy didn't say a word. First night, nothing. And I love the intro of the warden, where they're all standing in line. They just got to Shawshank, and the warden shows up, and he's like, I believe in 2 things, hard work and the Bible. Here you'll receive both.
The first time I saw this, I was like, fuck, what am I in for?
Salvation lies within, your ass belongs to me. Jesus. Power trip. Fuck. Oh, God.
Yeah. No kidding. He gets worse.
Hadley's his fucking dog. Like, just, oof. They delouse him. They throw that powder on him.
Yeah.
Red's narration just says, first night's the worst. You're confused. You're burning from that delouse and shit. And as soon as those bars slam
home.
It's real.
Oh, yeah.
It's such a great description of prison.
Yeah, yeah. And Morgan Freeman talking. Yeah. And you have Haywood's bet. He's the one who wins, basically, because Fatso, the big guy...
he's actually listed as fat ass in the credits.
Yeah, it's fat ass!
Doesn't that suck?
That does suck. Well, that's who he is, in the movie. That's, as far as the prison is concerned, that's who he is.
You're at a party, you're bragging, like, oh yeah, I was in the Shawshank Redemption. Oh, who'd you play?
Fat ass.
Fat ass?
You're the guy who, doesn't last? Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I played that guy.
Fucked up. The fat guy starts, wailing, I don't belong here, after Haywood says, like, I know some bull queers who just love you.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And Hadley shows up and is like, you better shut the fuck up.
Haywood even tells him, hey, shut up. Like, now you need to be quiet, because they're going to beat the shit out of you.
Mm-hmm. And they do. Hadley beats the fuck out of fat ass and kills him.
Send him to the infirmary. Yeah.
The next day, they're all they're all handing over their cigarettes to Haywood. Red's pissed. He owed him like 2 packs.
Yeah.
Got 2 packs on Andy. And Haywood asked, how was my winning horse? And the guy who was working infirmary duty said, he's dead. Doctor went home for the night. There's nothing we could do. And Haywood's, he feels guilty.
Yeah.
And Andy just asks, what was his name? And Haywood's like, who gives a fuck? He's dead.
What did you just ask? Yeah.
Jesus, there's so many great moments in this movie.
Yeah.
I hate when he pulls the maggot out of the oatmeal. Oof. And Brooks is like, are you going to eat that?
The realization, yeah.
He's like, I hadn't planned on it, no. He takes its pieces of the bird.
I think I'm done eating, actually, yeah.
I remember reading that they had such a pain in the ass time dealing with the maggot. Because PETA got involved. I'm not even making this up. They went like in support of the maggot. So in the scene where he finds it the oatmeal, they had to find a live one, and they had to wait for one to die naturally in order to feed it to the bird. Like, come on, guys.
Good Lord.
Not all life is sacred. My God. Can you imagine being the key grip who had to wait for the fucking maggot to die? That's your job on the set of Shawshank. Jesus Christ. So, Andy waits a while before really talking to anybody. He's kind of just getting used to his situation. He finds out Red is the guy who can get things.
Yeah.
He goes to talk to Red, says, I hear you're a man who knows how to get things.
Red's throwing the baseball with somebody.
I've been known to acquire certain things from time to time. And Andy says he wants a rock hammer. And Red is like, well, that sounds like a weapon or, probably want to tunnel out of here. And Andy's like, that's hilarious. It's like, why is it funny? You'll know when you see the rock hammer.
Yeah.
And Red says, it'll cost you about $10.
Yeah, $10 even. Yeah.
And if you ever mention my name, if this gets caught, we don't ever do business again.
Yeah.
And Andy's like, all right, fair enough. And he walks away, and he's like, Red comments that, he was walking away like he didn't have a care in the world.
Yeah.
Like he'd be strolling through his own
I
yard.
love that because you have Red. It's a great shot, really great shot, Darabont. Of Red holding the baseball, like in his mitt, and he's looking back at Andy walking away, and Andy's like picking up rocks and like looking at him and putting him in his pocket like a weirdo, just across the yard, and then Red kind of turns back around, throws the ball, turns back around again, looks at it's just like his attention is totally on Andy and not on the baseball.
And his narration just says like, I guess it's safe to say I liked Andy from the start.
Yeah, so good, so good. And this is like 10 minutes in.
You're already glued to the screen. You're in.
Amazing.
And Red tells him, Red gives him the rock hammer, and Andy starts, shaping rocks in the yard. And he starts carving he carves his name on the wall. And he goes back to Red, asks for a poster of Rita Hayworth. He wants Rita Hayworth. And Red says it'll take about 2 weeks.
And they're watching,
They're watching, I think, Gilda.
Yes. With
Rita Hayworth.
Yeah, exactly. That's great because they're all in prison, so obviously all these guys are really horny.
Well, I love that Red's like, I love that scene where she does her hair, and everyone just like, woo!
Yeah. Haywood's even right behind him, and he's like covering his face because he's like, oh, yeah.
I know this seems like I'm going to say it anyway because it seems like kind of a racist question, but whatever. Were prisons desegregated in the 40s? Like I feel like they weren't.
That's a fair question. I don't think that's a racist question.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure.
You're fine, I think. Yeah. I don't know. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Also, we're in Maine.
Yeah.
It's a different area.
That's true.
There's not a lot of diversity at this prison. It's mostly white guys
and red.
And red. And there's a few other. There's the black guy at the beginning that gets Red shit and takes it. He's like one of his buddies that's helping him.
Yeah, I remember him.
And here and there, but yeah, that is a good question as far as the segregation.
Because in the book, Red is a white Irish guy.
Yeah, it makes it a lot easier. Yeah. You just don't even have.
You don't have a story if they're in separate prisons.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that.
Oh, and obviously the movie comes out in the 90s, so it's like a much different. Yeah.
So Andy's assigned to work in the prison laundry, and he gets raped by
Boggs and the sisters.
The sisters, this group of they call them bull queers. They're the men who rape other men for power.
Yeah.
In prison.
Yeah, and it's like
like Red describes him perfectly. Andy says, would it help if I told them I wasn't gay? And Red says, neither are they. You have to be human first.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Yeah, these guys are fucking terrifying.
Boggs hate him.
Mark Rolston, yeah, real piece of shit in the movie.
Hate him.
You first meet him, he comes up to Andy in the shower and says like, I could take care of you. And Andy walks away, and Boggs just goes, hard to get. I like that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, I get chills every time.
Yeah.
And they corner him in the laundry, and they rape him.
And then you have later on you have that scene like above the projector room. Yeah. Well, when he's after he
gets the poster.
Yeah, after he tells Red about he wants Rita Hayworth. That's like a breathtaking scene in one manner because you're freaked out for him again. You're like, fuck. Well, and not only again, but you're like, look, this guy's been, the whole movie, it's like a 20-year stint. Yeah. So you're like, fuck, how many times has this happened?
It's been about 3 years.
And Red answers it for you, which they make fun of in Family Guy. He's like, I'd like to tell you Andy put up the good fight, but that's not what happened. Yeah. In Family Guy, they do. I hate that because Family Guy makes fun of a lot of stuff, but when they make fun of something, I'm like, no.
I get it,
But it's funny, It's like there's no rules, so it's cool.
Yeah. But in that scene where Andy, he fights him off in the projector room, and they're gonna make him
suck their dicks. Yeah. And he's like, I wouldn't put anything in my mouth,
Yeah, anything you put in my mouth, you're gonna
And then
lose.
he's like, well, I'll put this, into your brain. And he's like, well, brain damage causes the victim to bite really hard, so I wouldn't do that either.
I heard it's so powerful they have to pry the victim's jaw apart.
So he's like, you're just going to have to punch the shit out of me a bunch of times.
He's like, how do you know that? He's like, I read it. You know how to read, you ignorant fuck. Oh,
yes, Andy.
Fight back.
Get him, Andy.
Goddamn. And yeah, what they do is they beat the shit out of Andy. They beat him almost to death.
Yeah.
And Red feels bad for Andy and gives him the poster free of charge.
Yeah.
Plus some rocks, which is nice.
Some new rocks for
He
his
wants to make a
collection.
chessboard.
Yeah. Because he's Andy.
Yeah. They like him now. So 1949, he's been there for 2 years. So he's been 2 years of that nightmare. And he gets put on roofing duty. They're going to have outdoor duty. And Red fixes it so him and all his friends end up on the roof. It's pretty cool. And he overhears Hadley complaining about his surprise inheritance he got from his dead brother. I love that. It's like, guy came to the door last night, said my brother was dead. And they're all like, oh, I'm sorry. He's like, I'm not. He was an asshole. Left me 30 grand.
Oh, my God.
And they're like, wow, good for you. Good for me. What good for me? That's going to be taxed through the ass. Like, he's just such a sour son of a bitch.
Yeah.
It's like, what do I have left over? Enough for a new car? Then I got to pay tax on the car. Motherfucker. He's so pissed that he got 30 grand.
Yeah, he's bitter as shit. Yeah.
So Andy hears him talking about this and walks up to him. And all the prisoners are like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? Get back over here. And
Andy.
As soon as the guards see him, they all put their guns on him. And Andy just says, do you trust your wife? And Andy's like, oh, that's real funny. Like, maybe not the best way to open.
You gotta get his attention.
He certainly did that. And Andy just says, like, do you trust your wife? And Hadley's like, all right, this motherfucker's about to have himself an accident. And he goes to throw him off the fucking roof.
Yeah.
And Andy just says, if you trust your wife, there's no reason you can't keep all the money. And he tells him, like, this...
All 30 grand.
This IRS loophole that allows him to keep all the money.
Yeah, so basically... Yeah, I looked this up. It's true.
It allows one-time gift.
One-time gift to your spouse. At this time, I don't know if it's still true, but it was, like, true in this time frame. Pretty awesome.
Yeah.
What a genius, Andy.
I know.
Yeah, you get a one-time gift up to, I think, 50 grand is the maximum amount.
Yeah.
So he's like, look, you can give this all to your wife, technically, and it'll all be tax-free. He's like, all of it? No bullshit.
And Hadley's like, why should I believe you so I can get it? So I can end up in here with you? He's like, you can ask the IRS. They'll tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
I suppose I could set it up for you free of charge. All I ask for is 2 beers apiece for me and my coworkers.
Oh, coworkers.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he does it. He sets
Yes.
up the IRS thing, and Hadley gives everybody 2 beers.
Drink them while they're cold, girls.
And they immediately love Andy for this.
Yeah, and you have Red again coming in with the great narrating. We had the sun on our backs that day.
We felt like free men.
And Andy doesn't drink. He gave up drinking.
Love that.
And Haywood comes up to him and is like, how about a cold one? He's like, no, I gave up drinking. He just wanted to feel human again, And he wanted everyone to feel human. Andy never just wants to bring himself along. He wants people to be with him.
Yeah.
For this journey of life, whether it be in a prison or on a rooftop or trying to get free. It's just amazing. What a team player.
It's wonderful. And my mistake, this is when he goes to get Rita Hayworth from Red and they beat him almost to death.
Yeah, I was going to say that couldn't have been this, like back to back like that.
So now that...
Yeah.
So Hadley doesn't like that Boggs beat up his cash cow.
No.
So he waits for Boggs in his cell and fucks him up. He cripples him. He says, Red said, as Boggs is being loaded up into an ambulance, Red says 2 things happened after that. The sisters never laid a hand on Andy again, and Boggs never walked again.
Yeah.
They transfer him to a minimum security hospital upstate. Fuck. This place. So yeah, Andy's free of the sisters, and that's when the warden meets Andy. Because he's, hearing things. Hadley probably told him, this prisoner, he knows numbers.
This guy's kind of a genius, yeah. He could change the prison, yeah.
So he meets him in the cell. He's tossing cells. He tosses Andy's cell. Andy's got the poster up. He's got the rock hammer hidden away somewhere. We'll find out where later. And Andy's there just reading the Bible. And Warden says, I'm glad to see you're reading that. And they share like some back and forth Bible verses. They play like a game of wits. It's pretty awesome. And Warden asks...
Andy Dufresne's so fucking smart.
He is! I love it! I love it! And Warden asks Andy if he's happy working in the laundry, and Andy says not particularly, and he says, well, let's find something more suited to a man of your talents. And he almost leaves with the Bible, and he says, wouldn't want to deprive you of this, hands him back the Bible and says, salvation lay within. Couldn't be more right. So Andy gets reassigned to the library to assist Brooks, and the library is this piss-poor like little storage room with like some magazines and a few books.
Yeah.
And in reality, that's just a front, so Andy can pretty much do everyone's taxes.
Yeah.
He's handling finances for all the prison staff. And I love when Hadley goes in there, he's like, Dufresne, like angrily. Andy walks in, he's like, Hadley's with another guard, he's like, that's the one. And this guard walks up to him and says, I want to set up a account for my son. He's like, well, what kind of a town are we talking here? Like, he immediately becomes a banker again. It's hilarious.
Has glasses on, like takes them off. Yeah.
He ends up doing like the taxes for all of the staff, including the warden. He gets an office because like they schedule the intramural season with tax season. So during the softball game, the guards from the other prison go to get their taxes done by Andy.
Yeah.
And there's that one guy saying like, I had to pay for my gun. He's like, well, you can write that off. That's tax deductible. Oh my God. It's so funny, man. I love it.
Fantastic.
Yeah. He is a staff. Like he's got Red helping him out with documents. So Andy takes it upon himself to try to get more books for the library. He wants to ask the warden for funds. Brooks says, I've been through like 5 wardens in my tenure here, and not one of them whose asshole doesn't squeeze shut when you mention money.
Or books, yeah.
And of course he asks the warden, and the warden's like, budget stretched tight enough as it is. They're like, but you can write your letters to the state senate. I'll even mail them for you if you want. Just keep Andy busy. And Andy writes weekly letters for like 6 years, just asking for funds. And eventually they're like, fine, fuck. And they give him, it's hilarious. They give him more money, and he's like, no, I want more than this. And so he keeps pestering them, and they allow like a monthly stipend of $500 plus a whole bunch of like new books.
Yeah.
They crack down walls, and they build this library. It's awesome. Brooks gets paroled in 54 after serving 50 years of a life sentence. 50 years. In 54. He went into prison in 1904. He was in prison for 2 world wars. Can you believe that? Missing that kind of history?
No.
Like,
how do you come back?
You can't.
Well, yeah, we see, yeah.
Oh, so sad. He can't adjust to the outside world. He lives in a halfway house. He works at a grocery store, but he's institutionalized. It's like Red says, these walls, first you hate them, then you get used to them, and then you start to depend on them. It's horrible,
Yeah.
One of my favorite lines is, they put you here for life, and that's what they take. Jesus. Ooh. Yeah. So Brooks, disillusioned with the outside world, just kills himself. He hangs himself in his halfway house room after writing Brooks was here into the wall. So sad.
Devastating.
Thomas Newman's score during this scene especially is so heartbreaking. Thomas Newman. For some of his other work include, he won an Oscar for his score for 2004's Lemony Snicket's A Series of Unfortunate Events. And apart from Shawshank, my other favorite score of his is Road to Perdition.
Oh, God, what a movie.
I know.
Severely underrated.
Oh, extremely. It's one of my favorite
People haven't
films.
heard of it. Like, it blows my mind.
Tom Hanks, Paul Newman,
Daniel
Craig before he was famous.
Come on. Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Get out of town. Yeah.
Jude Law.
It's so good. Yeah. One of my,
Stanley
one of my
Tucci?
favorite Tom Hanks roles.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah.
So out of his wheelhouse. It
Exactly.
was Paul Newman's last starring role before he died.
Yeah.
It's a great fucking movie.
Yeah. I don't understand why it's not bigger. One of those gems.
Oh, for sure. We're going to have to dive into that at some point. Road to Perdition. So Brooks sends a letter to Red before he died. Just says, I don't think they'll kick up any fuss, not for an old crook like me. And they both Andy and Red are really sad about this. Because they know that Brooks was, in there he was somebody. He was the librarian. He mattered. Outside he was nothing. I can't get over that.
There's a shot for when Brooks is back into the quote-unquote real world and he is crossing the street. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that car is going and there's people walking. He's just too slow.
He hasn't seen,
Yeah, he's too slow.
He says in his voiceover, I saw an automobile once when I was a kid. Now they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That he missed that.
That would be like if, say, someone who like went to prison in like in the 90s and comes back now and is like, what's Twitter?
If I went to prison now and I got out 50 years from now and there are flying cars.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it boggles the mind. He missed World War I, World War II, I think maybe half of Korea.
Yeah.
Like, those were the Great Depression. He missed that. Like, Jesus. No wonder. Like, I couldn't cope missing that kind of history. The world moved on without me. That would mess me up.
Yeah. That's just one prisoner of so many, man.
Yeah.
This movie represents something so much bigger. Mm-hmm. How flawed the prison system is and how, I
wonder what Brooks did.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So, Andy names his library the Brooks Hatlin Memorial Library. Names it after him. And he builds the best prison library in New England. I love that scene of Haywood just listening to Hank Williams.
Yeah. Singing. Yeah. So good.
I love when they're going through the donated books and Haywood grabs The Count of Monte Cristo, as he says, and says it's by Alexander Dumbass. And everyone's like, dumbass. He's like, look at it, dumbass.
Look at it, I know how to read.
That's one of my favorite little moments. So when Andy gets a whole bunch of books and records, he plays an opera over the intercom and gives everybody just the tiniest bit of hope for a brief moment. And he is severely punished for this. He gets solitary. And he risks a lot doing that. Like, they could have taken the whole library away from him for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I guess it was worth it.
Yeah.
Just to feel human again.
Another very, very team move. He wasn't just giving the music to himself, but for everybody. Yeah. Just like he did with the beer.
He does very little for himself in this movie.
Yeah. If it ever is for himself, it's also for everybody else. Yeah, it's for the betterment of, like, the team.
Mm-hmm. After he gets out from solitary, Andy explains that he says it was the easiest time he ever did. And they're like, time in the hole isn't easy. 10 days feels like 20 years. Mm-hmm. And Andy explains that hope is what gets him through this time. And Red says, hope's dangerous. Hope is stupid. Hope gets people killed. Don't hope. Sad. And Norton, the warden, begins exploiting prison labor for public works, which seems illegal.
A little bit. Just a little bit.
It's slave labor, straight up.
Yeah.
And he starts undercutting labor unions and receiving bribes to not take up contracts that the labor unions want. And he has Andy launder the money. It's crazy. I love when the guy shows up with the pie and he's like, why don't you have some of this pie my wife baked? And in the pie is an envelope for like $500.
Yeah.
And he's like, you know what? I think I already have my boys elsewhere. And then later on, he's like, gives Andy the rest of the pie. He's like, woman can't bake for shit. What an asshole.
Jesus.
So Andy's explaining the laundering system to Red. Says he has the money under an alias Randall Stevens, who he has fake Social Security, fake birth certificate, everything. So if this is ever discovered, Randall Stevens is the culprit, not the warden, and not Andy. It's actually really smart.
It's genius, yeah.
Red's like, how did you come up with that? And Andy says, outside I was a straight and honest man. I had to go to prison to be a crook.
Yeah. Straight as an arrow.
I love it. And that's where we meet Tommy Williams. Tommy's sent up for burglary in 1965. So Andy's been there
18 years?
18 years. God damn.
Yep.
Andy and Red befriend him, and Andy helps him pass his GED, which is great. He has to teach him how to read first. And Tommy immediately after finishing the test says, it's shit. This was a waste of time. Throws it away. And Andy sends it up there, and he passed.
Yeah.
And after a year in the Shawshank, Tommy reveals to Red and Andy that his cellmate at another prison committed the murders Andy was convicted for. He remembered him talking. His name was Elmo Blatt.
Frightening scene.
Yeah. Creepy guy.
Who's some hotshot banker? Frightening. Gives me the chills.
Yeah.
That guy. His smile, his teeth, his eyes. And you're waiting this whole time, especially if this is your first time seeing Shawshank. Mm-hmm. Did Andy do this? Yeah. And then you're like, in fact, he definitely did not. Definitely did not. And my blood starts boiling still. Just knowing 18 years of his life.
When Andy goes to the warden and says, like, Tommy has, he has evidence, he has...
Can we take this to trial?
Yeah,
this is a testimony.
I have enough for an appeal, at least. And the warden's like, I can't believe you would fall for this story. Like, I hate him so much, the warden. And he doesn't even acknowledge it, and Andy calls him obtuse, and he gets really offended.
Don't be so obtuse.
And Andy says, I would never mention the money. And Warden says, don't you ever talk to me about money again, you little shit. And he puts him in the hole for like 2 months. Like, Jesus, solitary for 2 months. Jeez. And Norton has Tommy murdered because he's the only one who could corroborate Andy's story. Hadley shoots him. And they fake an escape attempt. It's really sad. Andy attempts to discontinue the laundering, says, like, I'm not going to do it anymore. And the warden says, you're going to do whatever I tell you to do, or I'm going to take away the library. You're going to no longer have protection from the guards. He says, like, one of the most vulgar lines. You're going to feel like you've been fucked by a train.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And he says, like, I'll move you to the worst place in the prison. You're my bitch. Like,
yeah.
I own you.
Yeah.
And Andy's released from solitary after 2 months. And he tells Red of his dreams of the Pacific. That when he gets out, he's going to go to the Pacific. He's going to go to the Mexican village, Zihuatanejo, and fix up an old boat. And Red's like, you're delirious. You're never getting out of here.
You've lost your mind, yeah.
And Andy tells him, all right, can you do something for me? There's this hayfield near Buxton that has a rock wall. There's going to be a rock that has no business being there. Under that rock is something I want you to have. And Red's like, all right. You need to lay down. I don't know what you're thinking about, but you need to stop this. And he's worried, and especially when he finds out Haywood gave him 6 feet of rope. Red's like, why would you do that? It's like, it's Andy. Why wouldn't I do that?
Yeah. Is Andy asking for it? Yeah. I always give it.
And then next day's roll call, the guards find Andy's cell empty. And it's the best. Norton is pissed. He's, he pulls out the count. And he's like, says he was here last night. Where is he now? Like, he is really pissed. And now the poster is Raquel Welch. And he throws a rock at the poster, and the rock goes through the poster. And it's my favorite moment of the movie when the warden sticks his hand through the poster and pulls it out, and you see this giant tunnel that Andy's been digging for like 20 years. It's not just that he escaped, it's how long he's been doing this.
Yeah.
It's so satisfying. And I love Red's voiceover. Like, last night, Andy Dufresne escaped from Shawshank State Prison. Like, just matter-of-factly.
Amazing.
And the only thing they found was a worn-out rock hammer. He says, I remember thinking that it would take like 700 years for someone to tunnel through a wall with that. Andy did it in less than 20.
Unbelievable.
Oh, God. So
Perseverance, resilience, yeah.
Extremely. So Andy used the rope to escape through the tunnel, and he came down, he tied a plastic bag containing the warden's suit, his shoes, the book of all the evidence of the money laundering, which he swapped out, and everything he needs to take this place down.
Yeah.
He crawls through the prison sewage pipe, which is repulsive. 5 football fields he crawls through. It's insane.
Of shit.
Ugh. Apparently, while they were filming, that was all chocolate, so it actually smelled amazing.
Yeah.
Which is nice. I gotta hold on to that when I see that scene, because I'm just like, God damn, I don't know if I could do it, Andy.
You just puke, yeah.
Ugh. And while the guards are hunting him down, Andy walks into a bank as Randall Stevens, the fake man he came up with for the laundering. He's got all the proper ID, and he withdraws all the warden's money, about $300,000, and skips town. he sends the ledger to the media, to the newspaper, and the warden opens the newspaper to see corruption at Shawshank, and sirens are coming for him.
Yep.
The state police arrive. They arrest Hadley, who no doubt went straight to Shawshank. Was probably killed the first day.
Oh my God. Hell yeah.
Yeah. And Norton, at first, looks like he's going to fight back. Pulls out a gun, loads it, aims it at the door. But then reality sets in, and he blows his brains out.
Yeah. Gotcha, bitch.
Because I bet it's not, being a prison warden, probably not too good when you get arrested.
Oh, no. No.
So after serving 40 years of a life sentence, Red is paroled. And it's a great scene when Red finally tells these guys off. If they ask him if he's been rehabilitated.
Rehabilitated?
Well, I don't know what that means. I know what you think it means, Sonny.
It's a word you men can throw around, yeah.
He says, if you ask if I'm sorry for what I did, not a day goes by I don't feel regret.
I want to talk some sense into him.
I was a stupid kid. I want to talk to him. It's such a great...
Yeah. It's his crowning moment. Yeah.
And it says, you do whatever you got to do. I really don't give a shit.
Yeah.
And they parole him. On Family Guy, they do that scene too.
Oh, yeah.
Or Cleveland is Red, and he just goes, the first thing I'm going to do is kill again. And they parole him. I always thought that was hilarious.
The first thing I'm going to do is kill again. Sure, you're good. Clear.
And he, just like Brooks, struggles to adapt to life outside prison. He ends up in Brooks' exact room. He has Brooks' job. He has to ask for a piss break because he can't go to the bathroom without permission. 40 years he's been asking permission. God, can you imagine that? Mm-hmm. You're so psychologically broken that you have to ask permission to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. And he considers getting a gun and robbing the grocery store so we can go back home. But then he remembers his promise to Andy, and he goes to Buxton and finds the rock, and under the rock is some money and a letter asking him to come find Andy in Zihuatanejo. And Red remembers Andy's word, you either get busy living or get busy dying. He just goes, you're goddamn right. And he commits his second crime, parole violation, goes to Fort Hancock, Texas, crosses the border into Mexico, finally feels that hope that Andy had, and he finds Andy on a beach in Zihuatanejo, and they embrace.
Working on a boat.
Just like he said he was going to, and that's the end of the movie. It's so perfect.
Genius.
Absolutely flawless film, 10 out of 10.
Easy.
Yeah, no question about it. I would say this is arguably the most complete film ever made.
Yeah, you could say that.
It's so wonderful. Yeah. I adore every second of it.
Yeah, obviously we're both males. So the camaraderie is, there's no way to overstate how compelling Red and Andy are together.
Apart from, I think, Andy's wife at the beginning, I don't think there are any female characters in this movie.
No. So I can understand how maybe a female who's watching would not relate to it as much, but it's such a good story that it just doesn't really matter. It breaks all barriers and is so human. Touches you.
It's human, yeah.
It meets you where you're at, and it's just got stuff that you can hold on to forever. Morality wise, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Being a friend, having hope, holding on, not giving up, resilience, perseverance, friendship,
humanity, basic humanity,
kindness, knowledge. Andy's willingness to teach other people who are not as smart as he is. All those things are just the intangibles that you want to have at some point in your life. While at the same time, Andy's very much able to stick up for himself. You ignorant fuck. He's not some little bitch. He's not. I love Andy so much, and I'm still grappling with why I relate to him so much. I don't know what it is. I think that's gonna be.
I think it's because he didn't let himself break.
Yeah.
He lasted through every man's hell.
Yeah.
He was raped for 3 years, but he fought through it. He kind of became a stronger man in prison.
For sure.
He fucked everybody over who fucked him.
Yeah.
And he comes out on top. That's why
it's almost more of a revenge story than a redemption story.
You could say it like that.
He's totally trying to get back at the system that took his life.
It's not. I don't think it's that, because he doesn't seem that bothered by the fact that he's there until the warden starts ruining him.
Okay, now Now, I agree with you, but I think the last time I was watching it, it just hits me every time that this guy's fucking digging this hole the whole goddamn movie. And we don't know it until the end. The whole time he has the intentions, I'm going to get out of here. However long it takes.
He planned to escape, but I think that taking the warden's ledger and all of that came up later.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Oh, it became
it became personal.
Yes, yeah. And where at first he was like, I need to get out of here because I shouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And then it became, I'm getting out of here because fuck these guys.
Like, leaving the Bible in the safe.
Yeah. The shoes.
The hollowed out rock hammer says, Warden, you were right. Salvation lay within.
Yeah.
Andy.
Genius.
God.
I was just reading that stupid Bible for entertainment. That's what he's saying. Like, Andy, I'm smarter than you, man. I got you. I was planning that the whole... It reminds me of Sandlot when he's like, did you plan that? Been planning it for years. That's Andy.
Wonderful.
You give me, a smart motherfucker like me, 18 years in this bitch. I'll figure some ways out to make all of you suffer. Yeah.
So fantastic.
Yeah, man.
It's a great read, too. The story is pretty much identical to the movie. And you don't in the story you don't get the scene of Red arriving at Zihuatanejo and meeting Andy, which I'd like that they included.
Me too.
We're finally going to get to play chess and just be free.
Yeah, and just hang out. Get drunk, hang out.
So nice. Wonderful. Well, that about concludes it, I think, for the Shawshank Redemption. Thank you very much for listening. This was a big favorite film of ours we wanted to do for a while.
Yeah, first bonus of 2020.
Oh, yes. And you can look for our Richard Jewell bonus on Sunday.
Excited for that.
Another great movie. Sad story. Great movie. And we'll see you next week for Weird Shit Wednesday for the Schumacher Batman films.
Cannot wait.
Yeah. Stick with us.
Peace.